but let's turn to uranium, where we did have some assay results come out in the fourth quarter, and we're really excited about those. So just to recap, we are sitting on that northern rim of the Athabasca Basin. We know that's the world's premier district for high-grade uranium, and that setting we have just on that northern rim is not dissimilar to what you find around Arrow, Triple R, and other margin settings, where you have these graphitic rocks, which are the favorable host rocks. The sandstone has been removed, and you're able to target directly into the basement rocks for these high-grade basement hosted deposits. And those are very favorable targets because they're in these competent rocks that allow for conventional mining. Also, in our case, you're not targeting through lots of sandstone. You're really drilling your targets pretty much from surface once you've gone through a bit of soil and till cover. So a really nice setting to be chasing these, and we have some excellent geology up there. And just zooming in on this slide, we see that basin edge here. We see our two uranium projects at Mermac and Strike. And what's really important on this slide are these red lines. Now, those are the historically mapped EM conductors, which reflect primarily graphitic rocks. And that's exactly what you want to chase for these high-grade basin deposits. Now, historically, this area has seen a lot of uranium mining and prospecting, and the mines at Gunnar, Lorado, Beaver Lodge, those are of what they call a Beaver Lodge type, and they're uranium mines of lower grades that sit within these granitic rocks. And historically, the prospecting in this area is really focused on the granites, which often outcrop. So people went and did scintillometer prospecting, often found grades on surface, followed it up with drilling. But there's been really no focus on targeting these EM conductors, the graphitic rocks, the favorable host rocks for the high-grade deposits. And those, because they're soft, they're graphite, they sit in the valleys, they wouldn't have been amenable to prospecting. So we have a very nice situation here where there's a huge endowment of uranium in this area, but it hasn't been explored for these higher-grade deposits. So at Strike, we did our first pass of drilling there. We developed targets through historical geophysical data as well as some gravity data we did ourselves, and we focused really just in the northern portion of the property, where there's really three main primary conductors, the J, K, and L. And we did a first pass across these three conductors. They have significant strike length to them, and it was really to test some of our initial target ideas. These EM conductors or graphitic units had never ever been drilled before. There was some historical mining at the 10 occurrence that occurs just off the graphitic conductor, but we drilled 9 holes and we saw graphite, we saw structure. We've now seen from the geochemical results some elevated pathfinders, so the elements that often accompany uranium in these high-grade deposit settings. And at hole number 13, we did have a new discovery of mineralization, up to almost 0.5% uranium. It's narrow, it was over 10 centimeters, but in these basement rocks, that can quickly change as you move along strike to get into higher grades and thicker units. So what we're seeing is really these fertile or really prospective units from the initial drilling that we've done. And these are shallow targets. We're not drilling through a lot of sandstone, so easier to test more of them, but certainly more work is warranted at Strike. If we just go to the next slide, this is just hole number 13, and what we drilled, we were really on the edge of a gravity low, where we had that intersection, and it's open along Strike. Obviously significant space still at an early stage here, and that definitely warrants follow-up. Just that intersection shown in core, it's a graphitic unit, it's altered, there's faulting, and the uranium sits around that fault. What we do see further below is also this red hematite showing there's a redox boundary. Everything, all the right ingredients you'd want to see for favorable settings. So definitely more follow-up drilling warranted at Strike, particularly at this location, as well as additional targets that have not been tested during the initial drilling.